There's a couple of instances where I can think of off-the-shelf software that really tried to be everything, which I guess if you're going to be a commercial accounting package provider, for instance, you want to cast as broad a net as possible. You want to attract as many customers as possible to use your product. Uh, I can think back as far as 25 years ago, approximately, where PeopleSoft is one of those packages, and they have HR and finance and accounting packages. And I can remember at the time, the process for PeopleSoft was kind of painful. You could customize it. They have screens that you could sort of custom design and get the fields that you want, but later you'd have to then design where does that information flow. And we decided we could do something better. And so a couple of instances. One is with parking industry. There are very specific nuances to the parking industry that an accounting package simply can't embed specifically because that would just be too niche. It would be too narrow of a focus. But without having those specific customizations made, it's very challenging because you have so many options, so many things you could do. But I just need to change the price of parking. How do I do that? And so, on top of that, the user interface isn't always very friendly because there are so many options, so many things to look at. What if all we needed to do was figure out on this date we want to change the price of parking? Could we do that somewhere? Well, in the off-the-shelf stuff, you sure could, but you're probably going to have to click 5 screens through and find that particular drop-down box and know what needs to go in there, and there might be more options than you cared about. And you might not be able to save that change unless you filled in some other options that really don't even apply. What if we could write a custom front end on that just gave the user exactly what they wanted, that even has the look and feel and even the color scheme that goes along with that company that just makes it feel like it's theirs? And to be able to give them information because we have asked some questions about their industry. Are there some warnings we might want to present to them if they're about to make a change that maybe doesn't go along with what their normal business rules are? So I can think of a number of times where that's happened. In the moving industry, it's happened as well. There are specific things that need to happen in moving. It's actually way more complicated than somebody just loading your stuff up on a truck and shipping it off somewhere and unloading it there. There's a lot of things that happen depending on the types of goods and the packaging, the labor involved, and sometimes something actually has to be in storage temporarily before it can make it to its final destination. I mean, even just talking about it, I'm barely scratching the surface. Something off the shelf really can't take all of those specific things into account. Maybe they could for a broad number of moving companies, but every moving company has a certain way of doing things. And so when we show up and start asking questions, we can actually custom tailor something that actually integrates with PeopleSoft or integrates with Great Plains or those off-the-shelf products, but give the user a much better experience on top of that by creating the right user interfaces, by creating the right integrations, so that behind the scenes, all that data is going into the standard places in these accounting packages, so that when you have an accountant that actually knows how to use those packages, they don't care so much about all of the rules on top of it or how the users use it. They just need to know, how do we make sure we're paying the right tax jurisdictions? How do we make sure that we're billing properly and that we're accounting for the revenue that's coming in? Then everybody can be happy with the solution that's provided.